Welcome to this next podcast of Change Dynamics. And as we've mentioned before in the previous podcast, we are pretty puzzled by the fact that there's so much inadequate responses of organizations to change. There is a lot of change going on, and we're still amazed why changes are not executed as quickly as they could be. Last time we had a very nice interview with Henny Portman on his views on project dynamics and project methods. And tonight we're very pleased to welcome Jim Johnson to this podcast. Welcome, Jim. Very nice to see you. We're very happy to have you tonight. And I think we can pretty sure state that Jim is well known in the area of the computer industry. Been working there for about 40 years already. He has founded the Standish Group, well known for all the chaos reports, chairman, and also dreamer, as he calls it, of the Standish Group. He is also known because he wrote the foreword for the book, The Project Sabotage, the project you and I wrote a while ago. And Jim, we're happy to welcome you tonight. Anything to add to my very brief introduction?
It's great to be here. And we've been doing the Chaos Report for 25 years, but we're not going to write it anymore because I think we've come to the root cause. And that was our holy grail that we set out to find out why software projects fail. And so we're moving on. We think that our new focus, which we call infinite flow, is going to be an eye-opener. And
yeah, that's a very interesting thought because you wrote a documentation on infinite flow. And what we've seen from it is a non-project based software development and implementation environment. And we're interested to see where we could link this to change dynamics and to see how we can link infinite flow to the responsiveness of organizations to change. So to start with a pretty general question, the subject we're talking about is change dynamics. And how can you link change dynamics to infinite flow? Where does it come together? Could you tell us something about that?
Well, I think it actually fits right in with change dynamics because infinite flow is about constant change. But more importantly, it's constant change with constant acceptance. The problem with change is people just don't like change. In fact, they hate change, right? So infinite flow is a method that looks at the strategy of the organization and moves it along doing change, a little bit of change every day, and a little bit of change by lots of people within the organization. And it's sort of like in most digital transformation projects and digital efforts, they don't do very well. And I think they don't do very well because they want to change too much too quickly. And I think of infinite flow like the ape-cell fable, the tortoise and the hare, where most digital transformations, most changes, they're more like the rabbit. They want to jump up and run as fast as they can, and yet they get stalled. And where the tortoise just keeps going along. And that's infinite flow. Infinite flow is the tortoise. And the reason it's the tortoise is because you take these changes on a daily basis and it lets people absorb it. It lets people accept it. It lets people, it's not frightening for people. And that's the problem with most digital transformations and most change things. It frightens people. And what it causes is write up your book, the Project Sabotage. People don't like change, and therefore they put up roadblocks to change.
Obviously, that there is a lot of change going on, and the our idea is that the speed of change is increasing in the present world, which is a bit of an old man's comment, but it's happened so quickly. And if you do the change more gradually, it might well implement more thoroughly. But what is your idea on the speed of the change, considering the need of the speed of change?
Well, I think that we increase speed by slowing down.
Okay.
Speed is only good if you can accept it. You know, you can buy a Maserati, okay, or a Ferrari, and drive at 200 miles an hour, but you can only do that on the autobahn. You know, if you're going down the country road, it's still going to be 30, 40 miles an hour. So, and I think what a lot of organizations, especially larger organizations with digital transformation, is want to change so rapidly that, but the roads won't take it.
Your method is, if I see what you're doing there, but the question for me is, where do you, what is the big difference if I look at the current modern flows like DevOps and continuous delivery, that actually does a bit of the same? So what is new and then in the infinitive flow?
Well, okay, so there's a couple of places. First of all, it uses DevOps and Scrum and teams, and certainly you have different types of teams you can have different types of infinite flow teams. What it does is breaks the project barrier. It says that these teams are going to be continuously funded, and that you're going to have an ongoing team that improves all the time. It certainly looks very much like value stream or tribes or squads, and it has that same feeling. The difference, I think, is a couple of differences. Number one, we really found through our 25 years of research on projects that having a good sponsor is so important. And what we put on top of these squads, tribes, teams, whatever you want to call it, is having that good sponsor. And if you have multiple infinite flow teams, each team has a sponsor. And what happens is that you can set up a strategy, you can set up a vision of the organizations, a vision of the digital transformation. And those sponsors then can interpret it for their team and for their organization. So you want to put that into the context of the whole vision. For instance, the city of Amsterdam, right? You're kind of familiar with that, right?
Yep.
They have a vision of one city, right? That's their vision of one city. Yet they have over 200 different departments and organizations throughout the city. And each one of those is doing their own thing. But each one of those, if you had a sponsor doing that, and probably about 40, they probably need about 40 teams, and they have about 200 people in IT. They could, that vision of the one city from the mayor or the executives of the city, you could flow that down. So it flows down, and as the current applications, then that's what we're talking about. We're talking about keeping those current applications and improving them to the strategy. So the tax department would look at the strategy of one city and say, okay, these are the things we have. How can we improve it to fit into that one city? And so also the health department, the social departments, the roads, all the departments that run the city now have this one basic sort of marching orders to go and say, okay, anytime we make a change, how does it change that to be the strategy of one city?
Okay. Just looking at also a bit of different subject. It's your story is also about the skills of the teams, the skills of the sponsor, and you're even talking about not about the skills but about customer satisfaction. It's there's a lot of stuff in there where what I like quite much, that is where you state, okay, in this way of working you get a lot more customer satisfaction. The effect of having highly skilled people in a team has a very high effect on the success of the change.
Right. Yeah.
Can
So
you tell a little
we
bit
call
more?
that the four levels of feedback. So the team is made up of a sponsor,
Yeah.
who's the head that heads the team. Then we have what we call producers, and the producers are like business analysts,
Yeah.
project managers that came up, and they take these vision from the sponsor and interpret it into actually work. And then we have what is the actors or engineers, basically. And the producers give the work to the actors, engineers, and they do it. And before they do it, they actually have to uh, give it a value of, customer satisfaction and the value that the organization would receive. So that's one level of feedback. It's actually pre-feedback. So then the actors implement the change, and it's on a daily basis. They have to do it on a daily basis, just a little bit, right? And then the sponsor gets to look at that little bit and say, oh yeah, this is valuable. This is going to help my customers, my users. And that's the second level of feedback. And then it's implemented, and a few days later, you get a feedback from the users. Was this valuable? Did you use it? Are you satisfied with it? What changes would you like more, better? And so you get that see, the quickness of change is the actually rapid little bit every day, sort of like water touch or almost, but better. But you get that little bit of drops and from the flow, and then that feeds back. And what you get is no waste, right? So if you look at projects and you look at all the wastages in projects, you don't get a lot of output. You get a lot of governance and compliance and project management and meetings. A lot of meetings and projects. You have a steering committee meeting. You have meetings of the users and the customers and it just goes on. And you could have 20 people in the meeting for 2 hours and make one decision. I mean, this is crazy. So, that gets to the point of what we found. The root cause of why so many projects are challenged or failed is because people get hung up on meetings and hung up on decisions.
Yeah. So you think if they are, if you follow the infinite flow, then they are more connected to the change that's been executed, and thereby it is more of a thorough change than a change with a big overhead and very little result. That's what you are pointing at, I think.
Yeah. Think about this, Dan. Think about this. You're doing a project and you cut it down to a year. Okay. So the team goes off, works on it, brings it back, and here's the project. Here's it's done. How do you like it? Right? That's one data point. One data point, and the team has done it for over a year. Okay? Every day you do something, you get that feedback. In a year, you'd have over 200 data points on customer satisfaction and value. Now, isn't more data points on customer satisfaction better than one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's the part. And the other thing is, so what if you make a mistake? So what if it's screwed up? So what if the thing you did yesterday sucks, right? Big deal. It's one day. You can correct it.
Yeah. Fail fast.
Fail fast. No, I fail instantly.
Yeah.
You know. So,
But if I look at the current way of working in Agile, in Scrum, that's all about this. So I understand also now why you have to say, hey, you need a Scrum Master, because that's what I saw also in your leaflet. In your and so you're talking about actually also the same type of roles that you have in Scrum.
very much like
Quite
that.
logic, and Scrum is also about working in sprints. So you have a sprint. Each sprint should bring value. Yeah, that is the idea. And if it doesn't bring value, okay, then you probably failed your sprint. No issue. You are allowed to fail. Yeah, that is one of the things. But you indeed see very quickly if it brings value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are companies that are doing 10 implementations a day. You know,
Yeah.
risking. Yeah, maybe that's not enough. You know, that's maybe too much. But we're saying do something every day that has value.
Yeah, well,
What I
some
currently
companies even do more than 20 days. There is a Dutch travel company who does about 40 implementations a day, all small issues, but they simply try. It's a trial and error sort of thing where they can immediately see if it fails or not. So that is absolutely what is happening currently. If you would have one big statement, an overall statement on how your method could influence change, what would the idea be? If you would have a sort of an elevator pitch on your infinite flow idea, what would it be?
We say it embraces change. It causes change to happen. Okay, and so the elevator pitch was change happens, and you can either run with it or have it run over you. And so many things, so many digital transformation projects, the change runs over them. So, infinite flow, it came about. Well, first of all, we're not saying you shouldn't do any projects, okay? Because the one thing infinite flow needs is an application. Okay, it's not about starting from scratch. So you could have, it's very, very effective for big legacy applications. Okay, you can put the team together. One of the problems with legacy applications is the institutional knowledge is going away. People are retiring. They don't know what the system does. People coming along can't understand it. They don't know the languages. They don't know all the different pieces and parts and software that kind of interconnects to it. So there's a lot of stuff that's breaking with some of these large applications. Putting an infinite flow together, the team around, say, a legacy application, you can bring in the people that, the older people that are operating or at least working with it, and surrounded by some new people with some new skills. And you can extend that institutional knowledge. And as the sponsor says, well, I wish I could do this, then the team and the can then work on that and improve that legacy application. So it's really good for modernizing older applications. And these older applications, some of them are 40, 50 years old and still running the business.
Would you say that the following infinite flow would reduce project sabotage?
I would say it would. I would say that, well, there's always going to be sabotage. But it's so contained, and if somebody doesn't like something, you might just not do it. Say, okay, that's not one of the daily tasks we're going to work on if people are against it. So you might I'd say you probably reduce it. You'll always, it's also a culture change. So you change the culture, and the fast feedback actually makes people happier. We call it the happiness circle, right? Because the sponsor is getting what he wants, the the producers are doing interesting things. The actors and engineers are seeing what their work is being used. The users are getting stuff in small doses, so they're going to be happier because they don't have to learn this big thing overnight. And the executives are going to see value quicker, because the faster you can put something in place, the faster you get ROI. And as I said, we discovered the holy grail of why projects fail, because we found it was decision latency.
Yeah.
And that's where we really came up with the infinite flow idea, because there's no decision latency. The teams make the decisions. They could make the wrong decision, but that's part of one of the principles is anti-fragility, which says you have a right to make mistakes, and at least once, and maybe twice, but
Not the same.
yeah, not the same one. Yeah. So I mean, you have that built-in thing, and you put on a big project, and you try to do the Big Bang approach, and it fails. You've failed a lot. You failed all that work. Where if you do a day's work and it fails, you lost a day.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
and thereby you also compute the effect of sabotage could be small, because you just have a small piece of work that can be sabotaged because the iteration is on a very short term.
right. And it changes so the culture. So you don't have,
Yep.
These big things that, why are you doing this? I don't like this change, And again, people are, Amazon makes this changes all day long. People don't even notice it because it's such a small iterative change.
Okay.
If you want to give one big statement for organizations where you say, hey, this is what you have to do, this is where you benefit the most from the method?
I think, well, first of all, you could start, say, the CEO's office with a flow team and show how that works. So, the CEO could get things that he didn't think he could get because he has a team right outside his office that could work on things. So you could start there. We think that you'd probably grow that to have teams all over your organization, and have a much happier organization, organization that people want to go to work. Well, maybe they don't actually want to go to work, but maybe they want to go out of their bedroom to their office and work. So, but they want to do things because they're getting that reward. And it's not a monetary reward; it's the reward that you're actually having, changing the organization, changing the culture for the better.
That's
Okay.
what I also see.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, I think we should thank you very much for your time and your insights. Very nice to talk to see you again.
Well, thank you. You have a good day.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jim.
Thanks a lot.
Jim, bye-bye, Jim.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.